the story of a revolution, a phenomenon that spread like wildfire around the planet. It's a tale of visionaries, young mavericks, and genius hippie renegades. For 2 decades, they fought out bitter rivalries and legal disputes, even became embroiled in international espionage to become the leading lights of a new sensation. A product that young people everywhere found irresistible and dangerously addictive. Now it's a multi-billion-dollar industry that's bigger than Hollywood and is set to overtake the music industry as the most lucrative entertainment business in the world: computer games. It all began in 1972 with a bunch of Silicon Valley rebels who quit their boring 9-to-5 engineering jobs to pursue a computer game's dream. Their founding father was 28-year-old Nolan Bushnell, who bluffed and bartered his way into business with just $500 in capital. He set up a company named after his favorite board game, Go.
In Japanese, when you're about to engulf an opponent's group, you politely warn them Atari. And I thought that was a good aggressive name for a company.
Despite his chronic lack of funds, Bushnell went all out to court his first Atari engineer.
Nolan showed up one day and took me to lunch in his bright, shiny new Oldsmobile station wagon and offered me $1,000 a month salary and some stock in a company. The Vietnam War was going on. I was pretty much questioning authority, and if you told me I couldn't do something, I was going to do it. Off I went. When we started Atari, it was the first thing we walked into this empty building. It was kind of a scary feeling in a little company with no support. There were just 3 of us there. Wow, this is the old place.
Here in this small workshop, Pong, the first great computer game, was born.
That's where I sat and wired the first Pong machine.
Pong was actually started as really a training project.
He stretched the truth a little bit, told me he had a big contract from General Electric.
No engineer wants to work on a throwaway project.
The fact that nobody from General Electric ever called or came by or wrote us a letter never occurred to me. This might not be true.
The first thing that Al did was to get the paddles to work, then the ball to move. And then we added the feature that where the ball impacted the paddle would determine the angle that it would bounce off. And at that change, the game was fantastically fun.
But would the public agree? Bushnell and Alcorn installed their hastily assembled prototype in their local tavern to find out.
We put it in a wooden box that had sticky-backed contact paper on it. I mean, it was real tacky. Slapped a coin box from an old kiddie ride on the side of it and put it on top of a barrel.
We sat back, got a beer, sat by a pinball machine, and watched what happened.
One of the regulars approached the machine and studied the ball bouncing silently around the screen. He inserted a quarter, and the game began. Eventually, he realized that 2 small knobs controlled the paddles and played his first shot. A small crowd soon gathered round to watch.
Up till then, people had never seen anything on a TV set that didn't come from a studio. And I can remember one girl asking me, how do you get the signal from what I turn here down to the TV station? The fact that the whole signal could be generated there locally was baffling to them. We watched it for a while and then we went home. The next day they called in and said the machine's broken, and we said, oh no. The machine was open and we found that the problem was that it was so full of quarters it wouldn't take anymore. I thought, that's a problem we can solve.
When Nolan saw how well the Pong was doing, how much money it was making, he said to himself, I got a hit on my hands and we're going to go into manufacturing.
Atari was on its way. Bushnell rented the cheapest space he could find, a disused roller skating rink, and they set up their first factory.
Everybody in the company, when I said we're going to build 100 machines a day, said, "Nolan, you're absolutely crazy."
We knew so little about it, we actually went to the unemployment office and actually just hired people off the street, and there were parolees, there were bad guys. It was pretty shocking how amateur it was.
Within 6 weeks to 2 months, we were at 100 machines a day.
Word got around and the orders for Pong started flooding in. 10,000 cabinets for the U.S. alone.
It just took the country by storm. We were 24 years old and not far out of college, and we'd done something that had already touched the world.
On an initial investment of $500, Atari made its first million. An even greater success soon followed with a home version of Pong.
I felt that the home game market could potentially be huge. Al came to me one day and said, I think we can put this all on a chip and build it cheap enough that we can go into the home. And I said, let's do it.
This is one of the actual first Pong chips, so all the logic that was in the coin-op game, these chips cost us, $10 a piece, and we could build a game and sell it for $100.
Finding someone to sell home Pong was a tougher challenge.
We could not get a single toy store anywhere in the nation to buy any. And then one of our guys thought, well, let's try the sporting goods department at Sears.
Bushnell and Alcorn were asked to demonstrate their prototype at Sears' head office, the Sears Tower in Chicago.
The table was filled with executives, but these guys were not high-tech executives. And the boss, Carl Lind, the division manager, his previous claim to fame was the air-conditioned electric blanket. And so I hook up to the TV set and it's not working. I can't see any picture.
Alcorn realized the problem was that they were sitting right underneath the most powerful television mast in Chicago.
So I had to open the bottom of the box up and retune it to some other channel. And they could see all the wire wraps inside so I get it all buttoned up, get it working, play the game, blip, blip, blip. Carl Lind, the boss, looks at me, he leans to the table, he says, "Mr. Alcorn, you tell me you're going to take that rat's nest of all those wires in there and put them on a little tiny piece of silicon the size of your fingernail?" I go, "Yes, sir." "How are you going to solder the wires to it?"
Eventually, the Sears executives were convinced.
He asked us how many can build. So we huddled outside and said, "How many do you think?" He said, "About 25,000. And so I went back in and I said to the Sears buyer, I said, "About 75,000. I figured good 3 to 1. Then, not to be outdone, he came back with an order for 150,000. And at that point, we said, well, there's no way we can afford to build those. We just don't have enough money. And he says, "Oh, not to worry. I'll introduce you to Sears Bank."
Sears ordered 150,000 units of home Pong to be delivered in time for Christmas 1975. It was stylishly designed to appeal to both adults and children and branded with the Sears Telegames logo. It was make or break time for Atari. Again. Sears put their marketing might behind home Pong. The 1973 arcade sensation was now available as the ultimate home gadget.
One commercial ran, and they were completely sold out. And that was wonderful.
Atari had made the big time.
Slowly but surely, we built new games, different games.
Bushnell's focus returned to the arcades. He was determined to stay one step ahead of his rivals.
We just took this attitude that we were going to give our competitors no safe quarter. And we outmarketed them, we outbuilt them, we out-innovated them.